Hey guys, and welcome back to Sonic Unleashed. We're still here in Adabat, but we're done with the night now, so it is time to change things to a more brighter sort of thing. I'm getting worse and worse with these intros and just spiels in general, I think. But first things first, we gotta go back to the pickle, because we actually need permission to go to a place during the day in another country. Is Pickle part politician? I say that as like he's got politician power running through his bloodline, but what he says goes, so we've got to get his word before we can go into Adabat Day.
Well, I mean, to be fair, he is technically the closest thing we have to a government official in this game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we don't see any actual... Oh no, actually it's one of the random NPCs, someone from the government. I don't know whether there's an American guy who's like a business guy type, the way he looks. He might be a member of the government. I don't know. It's been a very long time since I've spoken to most of the NPCs in this game.
Oh, one of the dudes from Empire City who's in Spagonia, I think, at one point. I swear, him and, like, this Indian dude are references to the show Heroes. And, like, the guy with the glasses is the horn-rimmed glasses dude who was, like, Claire's dad, and the other dude was Mohinder. It's probably completely coincidental, you know, like Wii+HD sounding like Ring Rink from Rystar, but you just notice these things sometimes, you know?
I'm just hearing you talk about, like, Pickle being the political representative or some shit. And I'm just now imagining, like, some fucking, like, you know, presidential election between him and, like, fucking Wentos or some shit. Like,
Wentos would never run for a political position. He's got too much stage fright. Even at his best, he just likes, you know, talking through his puppet and whatnot. And oh my god, we're getting on some real-world antics right now, some political bands. So, yeah, time for some day antics, I believe. Are you a fan of Adabat during the day? I was deciding who to pick there. I guess I'll go with Richie, because in the HD version, you need a veritable butt-ton of sun medals to get into this place, but not so in the Wii version.
Yes, well, I mean, I have to say, like, I've never personally found that level cap to be too horrendous. I know why everyone hates it and why everyone thinks, like, seriously, what the hell are you playing at? But I've never found it too bad, but I think that's because the way that I play or have played Sonic Unleashed is being conscious of when I'm playing already that I've got to pick stuff up. So I go out, well, don't necessarily go out of my way, but I try and explore as much as possible. So by the time I got to this point, I either had it or only needed to get like another couple of medals. So it wasn't anything too horrendous.
You know, I was doing the same, and I still had like 10 to 15 medals left to get by the time I got to Adabat Day, but we'll save that for when we get to the HD version. There seems to be a lot of like alternate paths and whatnot in this particular level. Flame, did you have fun trying to get a decent route and whatnot?
yeah, I actually do quite like this level a lot. This is one that I'll say definitely much better than the HD equivalent of it. It's just the fact that it's not a fucking PowerPoint presentation is like good enough in itself, but the fact that it's an interesting level on top of that. You know, there is a bit toward the end where it's like you got to get your drifting right, and you'll see me sort of crash into some walls and shit, but I can forgive little things like that for the sake of it being mostly a fun level at the start.
Yeah.
And these things can get annoying when you're trying to perfect it, you know.
He just doesn't really seem to care about Sonic boosting into him. You know, he's like, oh, that's a thing, I'm going now. You can continue on with your hedgehog frivolity.
He's struggling because he wasn't programmed to feel pain, but also appreciative that he wasn't programmed to feel pain.
Yeah, you know, double-edged sword. Really, one thing I do remember about this this version of Jungle Joyride Day is like the Maui heads and whatnot, and they should be turning up shortly, I believe, trying to like get my sentences as slow as possible so I can like sync it up and whatnot. They should be here any second now.
Yeah, well, we did run past them while you were distracted.
Oh, okay.
This isn't quite a Mario Land thing where we've got to like ride on a boulder to dodge them though, but still.
Oh, here they are.
As proven by Sonic just then. But what I will say, this is one thing that I didn't bring up earlier in the playthrough just because I didn't actually know. There's a thing with the Wii version of Unleashed that someone pointed out in the comments to me that if at the start, during the first countdown, if you think to hit the boost button on like the 0 on start, you actually get a free boost at the start. Which I had never thought to try that. And that's why I haven't been doing it. I honestly didn't know that was a thing. And it does actually make sense thinking back now, because I know like Advanced 2's got a similar sort of thing, like, but that's just a dash right and you go into the boost state to start with.
Yeah, for sure. I'm terrible with those sorts of things in like anything besides Mario Kart, honestly.
Well, Mario Kart is each one of them's got a different point that you've got to remember. Like in 8, it's on the 2. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. The water looks amazing in this level. Holy shit!
It does. It's one of the things that, like, on the whole, the Wii version can jump between looking really cool and looking PS1.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, that's basically the Wii's library in general.
Yeah.
Is that sometimes you get things which are like look absolutely beautiful, a la Super Mario Galaxy, and other times you get things which look absolutely dire.
And then you have like those games in the middle which have a sort of like curious quality to them, like the Endless Ocean games, which, you know, the human models are good, but like just the scale of everything is amazing. Like you go deep into the ocean and you meet whales and sharks and whatnot, and I recommend the Game Grumps run of the second game, which they never finished because of course they didn't.
No, you can't have that. This is one of the timed missions. This is, I believe, the first one we've seen of these, because this is the first mandatory timed one. You get a time limit, but also when you go through a checkpoint, it gives you a bit of extra time. This one is okay, because this one is like a sort of abridged version of the level, but a later level is literally the exact same as the one you've just played a minute ago, so I'll bitch about that when we get to that one.
Okay. Considering we're on the final, like, country level, there can only be one place you can be talking about right now.
Yeah.
The one where most of my bitching will be directed at.
Fair enough, mate, it's the final level. You can do all the bitching you want. Alright, another ring collection mission. This should be easy.
Also, I'm loving that foliage.
Yeah, it actually looks surprisingly good for a Wii game. Like, it makes you think, did they really have to super fucking overkill it in the HD one to the point where the game lags? Like, they can clearly make decent foliage with minimal work, you know?
Well, I mean, to be fair, I was being slightly sarcastic because we had like massive 2D pixelated foliage right up against the camera when I said that, right there.
Yeah, like that's shit, but the background objects, the background foliage looks cool.
When you're not up close to it, it looks okay.
I love... At least aesthetically, mark it off your bingo chart. This level looks fantastic. I don't care about the frame rate issues. It's one of the prettiest levels in the game. Just look at that fucking water. Just look at like the white splashes like against the boardwalk and whatnot. Even the boardwalk itself looks pretty good.
I can't look past the frame rate. Like, there are some cool things in this level, and if it performed well, it would be a level I like a lot. But it's just too distracting for me. You get a pace going, and then it's like chugging. And, yeah, I don't like it.
To be fair, there's only one point in the entire level where it gets particularly bad, and it's coming up right now. It's where you're kind of obviously running through the mass foliage, but I think the boardwalk bit is a lot of fun.
No, there's this part, there's the water part later, there's some of the other sections with a waterfall. Like, I don't think it keeps to 30 in any segment of this, and that's pretty fucking sad, honestly.
Well, do you think, like, Sonic Team were, I can't believe I'm saying this, too ambitious with, like, the Hedgehog engine and whatnot? I know it's just like a lighting engine or a graphics thing, but maybe they tried to make the ultimate-looking Sonic game, and the 360 and PS3 just couldn't handle it.
See, what I think this is I don't actually know about the development of Unleashed. I know a lot of Sonic games tend to be sort of scheduled poorly and they end up rushing shit, and I wouldn't be surprised if this was a case of them using the sort of development process of throwing as much as they can, then later down the line scaling it back, and they just didn't get time to optimise this.
It seems pretty advanced for that generation, at any rate. And yeah, I'll agree. I can't ignore the frame rate stuff, especially when it goes like, look at that, like holy shit! I could make a series of postcards at the frames I saw there. But I don't care. Jungle Joyride Day is pretty cool, and yeah, I'll say it, it's worth getting like 120 sun medals to get into this place.
No, it's not. Fuck the medals. Fuck the medals.
That's your opinion, and I'll respect it for as long as we're on camera, but I'll call you a fuckhead the minute we stop recording. However, if you want to play an approximation of like Jungle Joyride Day, or like any of the levels in Unleashed, the day ones, with slightly better frame rate, well, more optimized frame rate, I should say, there is the Unleashed project for the PC version of Sonic Generations, where they pretty faithfully recreate the levels from Unleashed using like Generation assets and whatnot, and that's pretty cool. It's actually quite exciting to play through like Rooftop Run and Chunan Day with a frame rate that is actually above single digits at times.
You got this section, that section that I always seem to forget from this one, the part where there's the gun truck chasing you. That's pretty hype.
Oh right, yeah. And like you just saw us being chased through the forest by the typical Guardian robot that Eggman likes to send after us, and the Unleashed project.
I think he's called the Interceptor.
Oh, okay. Well, Interceptor, Guardian, either or. Really, in the Unleashed project, it's the gun truck with the buzzsaws and everything.
Well, I mean, to be fair, Generations didn't have any enemies like that outside of the gun truck, so I suppose it kind of ended up having to be that.
Yeah, for sure. They can't just create like entirely new assets and whatnot.
I will say one Generations mod that I do think is pretty cool is someone's made one that's just ported Eggman Land over, and what they've done is they've made little workarounds for all the Werehog sections, and it must have taken quite a bit of work, and it actually plays quite well. It's still a challenging level, but it's still fun.
Well, I think Eggman Land is one of the better final levels in any Sonic game, and if I remember, I'll try to go in depth with my opinions when we actually get to the level, but I enjoy Eggman Land, Werehog and all.
I mean, something that I too will be bringing up when we get to it, but I feel that with Eggman Land, it's very challenging, but it's sometimes a bit cheap on its challenging side, but it feels like almost the right level of challenging for the big final level, so you feel very satisfied when you've actually beaten it.
Yeah, for
Whereas
sure.
quite a few of the more recent endgame Sonic world/levels have been either just too cheap, and so you're just like, I don't feel like I've accomplished anything by beating this, I just want it to be over, or they can feel very underwhelming.
Cough, cough, time here.
Yes.
Yes. So this is the point where I should remind you two that the Eggman Land party is over an hour long, so let's not waste all that material here.
Yes, for sure. Well, we'll have plenty to talk about there, whether you like it or not. Richie, I want your final thoughts on like Adabat as a whole, mate. Day and night, Wii or HD, give me them deets.
I do really quite like Adabat. It's particularly the HD version, because obviously that's all I've got experience with. This day stage can be frustrating to play, but it's because it's challenging, and it's actively challenging. Not necessarily it's not because of the frame rate really at all. There's actually challenging platforming going on, and that's where the challenge is. And so I do really quite like this level. It's night variant as well. It's a nice, exciting final massive edge quotation marks, but final area for us to go on a world trip.
Yeah, I agree completely. And wasn't there like tea behind here at one point, Flame? Because I know there's a tea giving minigame in Sonic Unleashed, and it's not as complex as the one in Professor Layton and the Diabolical Box, which is why I haven't talked about it, because it doesn't deserve to be talked about if it's not as complex as in that game.
See, I was kind of gutted you noticed the tea not being there, because I will fess up that in my first take of stepping out of that level, I did forget to get the rings and walk straight into the water like a
Flame.
Nice.
Rich, you did the same fucking thing in your playthrough, come on.
Well, it's true, yes.
I was trying to be stealthy, but Tom called me out.
I've completely forgotten the name of this dude. Do you know, Flame?
Yes, it's the Egg Lancer.
There
it's
we go.
Basically a further developed form of the Egg Devil Ray and the Egg Beetle. It sort of has little quirks from both of them, little aspects from both of them. And this Wii version is actually quite a difficult boss to get down.
Ooh.
What you got to do is you got to pay attention. He's going to smack the wall there, and rocks will fall. Watch where the rocks hit him, because then that's your chance to boost forward. and you have to boost then, otherwise the rock will also get you.
That's quite different to the HD version of the game, then.
So he still has that section where he's driving along the wall, but it goes down a little bit differently to this one.
I do like how Eggman's robot got progressively, more complex as the game went on. Like, he's growing as Sonic does. His machines get more complex. Sonic develops new layers. I suppose I'm just pulling shit out of my arse at this point. One thing both versions share, though, is the QuickTime event at the end. That's the consistent thing.
Unfortunately so.
Well, yeah, but come on, to be fair, it's a pretty cool QuickTime event.
Yeah, I guess, but still, it's a QTE.
It's the kind of thing where you're never going to get Flame to agree with that. It's like you could have the best, most reliable motion controls in the world, but he never agreed because he intrinsically hates motion controls.
Well, no, I like Black Knight. I like Wii Sports. That's about it.
I'm watching you, Mr. Hypocrite Man. I'll get you in a winning argument one of these days. But yeah, I'm a big fan of the Egg Lancer. It's hard as a bitch to get a no-hit run on it.
Yes,
but
it
it's
is.
a fun boss, and it's like a side-scrolling shmup at times. With these on-the-wall sections, and that's pretty hype.
I mean, also the boss theme is just glorious because obviously it's a variant of. Well, what is it? A variant? It's definitely like the World Avenger, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a little bit, yeah. Like, during the pinch moments, I think it is.
Yeah.
Oh god, won't someone help me, Jesus!
I like how we're magically back here now, somehow.
I didn't die! Hell yeah, protag, sucker!
Over already?
S for Sonic.
Super!
I think that in terms of the Wii level, the boss actually took me longer to get a perfect rundown of than the level itself, so yeah. This one I seem to recall being a little bit easier to get recorded.
Basically the same fight, just prettier, and that's cool how he starts his attack before you land. But it's in a way that you'd have to kind of not be paying attention to get hit by,
Yeah, let's ignore a few outtakes.
Yeah, let us ignore those. But it's just that kind of foreshadowing that I kind of like when it comes to game design and whatnot. I'm not going to get on my Ego Raptor game design throne here and exposit some bullshit when all I do is talk over video games. But I like that sort of thing when it comes to well-designed bosses.
Oh, but I like the part where you jump and shoot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Since you referenced Mega Man X, I will now reference X2 and X3, which I've been playing recently. I finished Mega Man X2. That was a big step down from X1. I'm playing X3 now, and it seems bullshit hard for some reason. I don't know why.
Well, the thing with X2 and 3 is that I've never had the interest to go through them, because every time I start playing them, I realise that they're just much less interesting versions of X1, and it makes me want to replay X1 for like the 40th fucking time in a row.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from. We're doing a playthrough of Mega Man X, I would say within the next month or so, and that's going to be Flame and myself, and we're also going to bring on Snake, who was in charge of the Misadventures of Tron Bond playthrough.
Well, I have to say, that's a good plan, because I would have no idea what I'm talking about with Mega Man.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, I have other plans for you, Mr. Man.
I know, and I am so excited, literally bursting with glee.
Oh man, there's one dude in the HFC Discord chat who's going to be, stunned with glee when he finds out what we're planning.
Oh, it's going to be wonderful!
I cannot wait for Sonic Rifles.
Expertly done, Flame, expertly done. Okay, we're going to put a bow on this sucker, I believe, and you may have noticed there's quite a bit of time left in the video, so I think it's time we actually got caught up on the plot and whatnot.
That it is.
2 murders in one video, Sonic just does not give a shit.
This is the good guy.
Look at my stats! Another S rank!
Chip, you don't have to watch him as he jumps, he's going to land again.
But he likes it. He's good and pure. That's what he deserves. A good pose every now and then.
Also, come on, they're mates, so he's got to time it so that they pose together. So you see, that's where the challenge comes in.
Yeah, these camera angles are not flattering to that floor texture.
No.
That is so clearly a small texture they've stretched.
I've actually forgotten how oddly paced the story of Unleashed is. Not in the sense that, it's bad, but you go through like long stretches without cutscenes and whatnot, which is odd for, you know, the fact that a lot of people criticize Unleashed and like throw it in the same basket as like Adventure or SA2, where they go, oh, it's trying to be too cinematic and whatnot. But I think Unleashed does the cinematic aspects right.
Oh, definitely. I mean, it's something that I will defend Unleashed for to the death. Like, I feel that it's one of the few stories in the Sonic franchise that I feel has perfectly nailed the tone that works with the Hedgehog. And it's just cinematic enough to be epic, but just silly enough to be like, yeah, we're playing as a
rein it in a bit,
hedgehog that runs. So it's just like, it hits that balance. And I feel that Unleashed on the whole is paced pretty well. Obviously there's quite a few long swathes where we don't get much going on, but because it's a world adventure, we are just adventuring around the world, you don't necessarily feel the need for that because the game is naturally just taking you through, and there's just small little snippets building up to this, because it's all about the friendship of Chip and Sonic, and then it builds up to this plotness.
Oh my god, it's the soul of the universe! Well, soul of the Earth, I should say.
Or it's just this glowing thing in the temple, one of the two.
Yeah. Take my essence and destroy humanity with it, Chip.
This is who I am.
I understand completely. Finally, perfect Scrappy-Doo is reborn!
Didn't you scold me for talking about that a while back?
Well.
Sonic, I remember now. All of it.
Finally, he looked at his notes. I completely forgot that it transitions into this this really jarring cutscene before going back to the plot.
Yeah, if I recall correctly, that's the one where it stays there for like a minute straight and I thought my Xbox had crashed. I cut that down a little bit.
I kind of like the silence before this, because we get that, the lovely sunset, and then we get the revelation that Chip is, you know, the parallel to Dark Gaia. He is Light Gaia, you know, he draws light from the dawn, day, any source of light, really, you know, like a fucking bathroom light, or whatever, to big light, to put it in, you know, Cockney parlance, and, I sort of like the juxtaposition between the small chihuahua and, you know, the powers that lay within. I think a lot of people just kind of ridiculed it, and I'm not going to blame them for that, because it is a little bit silly, but I like the relationship between Sonic and Chip, and even if you find him annoying, you've got to admit that the two work well together.
I like that this particular cutscene takes place at sundown. In a way, it's sort of mirroring where we are in the game. You know, it's like getting near the end, or in this, like, a more explicit case here, it's, you know, Sonic's nearly gonna transform. It sort of just complements where we are in the game really well, I think. And that background looks really pretty.
It's gorgeous, and to be fair, this is just a really gorgeous cutscene in general, from both a visual perspective and also from a narrative and character perspective, because it is just really, really touching.
Thanks to you. Even at night when I'm like this, I'm still myself, not like all the other people we've seen.
Like that depressed ice cream vendor. What was up with that, right?
I haven't done anything, Sonic.
All we're getting at here is, you talked about the possibility of like Sonic having multiple personalities between the night and day and earlier part, but what it's implying here is the reason why Sonic stayed how he is, like personality-wise, is the whole real superpowered friendship and all that, teamwork, what the fuck ever, like between him and Chip.
Well, suitable for the character, I suppose. He's too extreme. He embodies the heart of the 90s, and he can never be de-radified.
For better or worse.
Since the planet began, but I didn't know a thing about it.
Sort of an Avatar situation here, actually. The spirit of the Earth itself is getting to know the people of Earth and thus conserve it better. Or maybe I'm just pulling shit out of my arse here, who knows.
I've never watched that, so I'll take your word for it.
Fair enough, mate. Although they retcon that in The Legend of Korra, so, Sayonara, Chip the Chihuahua.
Goodbye, friend.
Can you tell it's awkwardly 40 seconds left and we have nothing to say?
Yeah, for sure. Hey, get back here. It's not the end of the game yet. We've still got Eggman Land to do, young man.
You signed the contract, you're staying it.
Sonic, I've got to go and do my job as Light Gaia. Dark Gaia's fucking everything up.
Well, yeah, but it's the thing is that obviously what Sonic saying, he's just like, well, dude, bring me along. Like, we can do this together, mate. Like, it'll be amazing.
I'll punch her with me, Mr. Fantastic Arms. You solar flare the fuck out of him. It'll be the hypest shit.